Hey, how's it going today? This is Mark Brody with Brohawk Solutions, and welcome back for the next installation or next episode of Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And with me today, I have Renee Odenaya of Mod Squad. She's Director of Client Services for Mod Squad. Renee, how's it going today?
It's going good. How are you?
I am well as always. So I wanted to
Well,
just kind of start off. Can you tell folks that may not know who Renee is? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your journey has been in contact center leadership and where you're at currently.
absolutely. Hello, everyone. As Mark mentioned, I'm Renee Odenaya. I have been in the contact industry for 19, almost 20 years. I am a mom of three beautiful children. We live right here, obviously, right outside of Austin, Texas, in Hutto, where it's quiet, kind of got that country feel. I love that. Grew up military with my dad in the Army. That's how he came here. He retired from Killeen, and we moved here about 98. So I consider this home. I
Nice.
actually started my career in the BPO space. Some folks may know it at
Really?
Hart Hanks. I always tell folks I started taking calls, Xbox original Xbox customer service calls, where I would consistently be cursed out by 8-year-olds who lost their game file. So I developed tough skin in the customer service industry very, very early. But I had a lot of experience there, nearly 7 years, moving through all the different tiers of support, tier one, tier two, quality, BBB support, escalation, and then I got into management and I moved into more professional business based Microsoft accounts when I was there. Then I've had opportunities to work on the client side as well at places like Electronic Arts, Google Nest via True Force Labs, and I dabbled in some startup work with places like BigCommerce and Boom Group. So I've had a variety of experience over the years. I'm generally known for my operational efficiency. Uh, when it's broken and you need it fixed really fast, they generally call Renee, and that's where I am. And I'm currently, as Mark mentioned, at Mod Squad, client services director, primarily over all of our North America projects, responsible for our strategic initiatives and financial performance.
Excellent, excellent. Um, just going back to your experience when you were at Hart Hanks getting balled out by 8-year-olds, that had to have
Yes,
been the best lesson in becoming a parent that you never even
absolutely.
realized was going on at that time.
Absolutely. I'm like, sir, where's your parents? But
Yeah.
it was always in summertime and, no
Yes,
telling.
totally get it. Totally get it. Well, cool. So what does Mod Squad do? Who are
So
some of
Mod
your
Squad,
clients? Yeah.
so Mod Squad is an outsourced based customer service. We are masters in digital strategy, so we handle a lot of community support. Can't really talk through all of our clients per se, but definitely some very large brands. We also are mastered in smaller startups. So for kind of your mom and pop shops who are trying to dabble into some type of customer support or social media support or community management, we can help them. What I love the most is we can provide buffet style services outside of your kind of traditional brick and mortar where it's here's your package, take this. We can slice and dice and pour it and give them everything they need.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you have a lot of experiences, Renee, and I've enjoyed talking to you. We've known each other for 5 or so years, and
Yeah.
the thing I always love talking to you about is what you're seeing on the front lines in the shops that you're working in. And you've been in a lot of different environments. Have you seen a shift in customer expectations over the years when they reach out to a contact center? Whether it's channel or what their end result expectations are.
hmm Well, definitely. I know in the beginning of my career, right, phone was number one. Everyone
Mhm.
wanted to call in. You wanted to have a human interaction. And there's still a generation that is that prefer that method,
Uh-huh.
but I've seen that be a decline. You're looking more to your written communications, your chats, and your emails more so.
Hmm.
I would say definitely over the last year, right, with COVID and all of that, just thinking about customer expectations, not nearly as high, I would say, as they were before. Before it was always you got to have a quiet space, make sure, even in the traditional call center, we have these noise canceling headsets because you want it to be very top notch, quiet, and professional. And now for someone to call in somewhere and they may hear some rustling and tussling in the background, everybody's
Yeah.
like, yes, that's our life. And I've noticed people are much more understanding and
Okay.
empathetic. And expectations are still high in obviously the delivery of service and what they're calling in and trying to get resolved. But it
Hmm.
seems like the empathy and patience with customer service reps have definitely increased.
That's great to hear. I mean, yeah, we both heard stories of and seen it, firsthand of frontline agents just getting beaten up, and it's for no other reason that that person on the other end of the line may just be having a bad day, and
Absolutely.
or it could be a process or a procedural thing that's really out of the control of that frontline rep. So it's good to hear that you're seeing a lot higher patience level coming through from customers, and that's always good to see. That's
Yeah.
um, so you've worked in both brick and mortar centers as well as work from anywhere, work from home type of contact centers. Have you
Mhm.
seen a difference in agent performance levels between somebody working in a brick and mortar versus somebody working remotely?
Yeah. Um, Good question, right? Because I think 20 years ago there was a stigma that you couldn't be productive if you're at home,
Hmm.
right? You're going to
Yeah.
be walking back and forth to the fridge. No way you could be working, you know? And as we've all shown everyone in the world over the last year or more, we could definitely get work done from home.
Yes.
So I would say there hasn't necessarily been a change in performance, but there is a change in the learning curve and the getting up to speed, because there's no replacement for being able to lean over on your low cube to your buddy and be like, hey, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I got this question. Or just being amongst folks who are talking about solutions or um, escalations. Like you can't replace that. And
Mhm.
so, although there's chats and Slacks and IMs and direct messages that we do in our remote environment, it still takes away that chatter, right? You're still technically in a room by yourself. So I would say the learning curve is a bit steeper in the
Okay.
remote, and we have to go a little further in the virtual learning, right? And making sure that you're reaching all of the learning styles because you are in a virtual environment. So ultimately, though, it all meets in the same place. I would say folks that work from anywhere or from home are just as talented and skilled, if not more focused, right,
Yes.
in their environments as a brick and mortar location.
Interesting. You talked a lot about, or you touched on the remote learning. Um, and have you seen strategies evolve over the last year, over the last 5 years or so, where LMS companies, LMS organizations are really more focused on that remote learner aspect, as opposed to thinking that everybody's going to be brick and mortar, hub and spoke, that type of environment.
Absolutely. I mean, just the additional features that were always on the roadmap. I
Yes.
remember when we were in the brick and mortar, it's like, oh yeah, that's on the roadmap because it really wasn't, virtual quizzing and just different things like that, always
Uh,
on the roadmap. And as we've seen, that's accelerated even over the last several years of being able to host and conduct trainings remotely from start to finish,
yeah.
expecting there to be these virtual sessions with 15 to 20 people at any given time who may all be on camera and responsible for participating. So I do think that it has required folks to step up the software and the intelligence around remote learning.
And I'm sure being remote and the organization you work for is 100% remote around the world, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. Um,
Yep, yep.
So what leadership strategies have you seen work most effectively in this work from home environment, this remote agent environment that have really led organizations that you've been with, or what you've seen and heard out in the industry, um, really led to the greatest KPI successes?
Yeah, I would say our leadership strategies just start with education. um, we have to, from the beginning, again, in a brick and mortar, we're all about did you get your welcome package? Do you have your location, your desk with your name on it?
Hmm.
This, we have to express that same emotion and excitement without physically seeing a person. And it's really required us to communicate more effectively, to learn how to articulate your words when it comes to excitement or coaching or guidance or whatever it may need to be in that regard. And even from our training, it's like the learning experience has to start even in the recruiting process,
Yeah,
right? Of the way that we do things and that we're interviewing on platforms and tools that you would normally use. So our leadership is generally, our strategy is generally focused around how can we produce a happy, loving, supportive environment when all we have sometimes is our voice.
mhm,
Um, and so
yes,
we try to lead from the front in that regard of just being over communicative and making sure that people have what they need. So,
excellent. And that's sometimes a challenge. Um, Especially if you're working with someone that would prefer to communicate only by chat or by email, forcing them out of their comfort zone to really engage with you is an opportunity, you know.
yeah. And you realize how important even just body language is.
Yes.
You're walking the aisles in a traditional brick and mortar location, and someone's, hey, Mr. Day, and you can say one moment, or just hold a finger up while you're talking to someone. When you got 20 chats going, you
you,
can't do that. So,
it used to be when we started off in the industry, um, I have a few more years on you than, that,
just a few.
yeah, just a few. It's some seasoning, it used to be MBWA, management by walking around, like you said. Now there's some companies that are like management by Big Brother, or Big
Yeah,
Sister.
yeah,
And, that can be frustrating for a lot of frontline agents. And do you see agents that are concerned that you're watching what they're doing all the time, and you're turning on their webcam? I mean, not you in particular, but that
right.
you'd be turning on their webcam and seeing what's around them and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
and, and trying to, I would imagine, trying to soothe them down a little bit, that it's not like that.
Yes. I think that's one thing that I love the most about Mod Squad. We are very respectful of people's environment. I think I've spoken about this before. Our CEO, created this organization for the working parent, right? Believing that we as parents can be just as good in the workplace as we are at home, and if
Mhm.
we're given the opportunity and the flexibility to do so. So, with that being the core of our foundation, we're really respectful in that way. So we don't do any type of invasive turning on the webcams or requiring people to have the webcams on and all
Mhm.
these different things, because we understand there could be other things,
Yes.
playpens in the background, going on. Obviously, there's, security things. You need to be in your particular office and room alone, but for the most part, especially with this past year. So we tried to establish a environment of respect in that regard. So I would say folks are not necessarily as concerned about that. They do obviously there's just their check-ins with their managers and different things that I think we try to keep very traditional and
Mhm.
available. And coming back to the communication piece, are you available for this time to meet versus just throwing things on people's calendars?
Yeah.
So the way that we, operate, we try to be really respectful of people's time and environment.
What a great concept, leading with trust and respect.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Right.
That's
Right.
especially especially with contact centers. It's sometimes contact centers are so focused on getting out the numbers and meeting service levels, and all that's important. But if you're not leading with trust and respect first, you're not going to get to the numbers that you're needing
No,
at the
at
end.
all.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, we're just about through this, Renee. So now you're on the hot seat. We're in the
Oh
speed
no.
round. All right.
Oh no.
So what would you say your walk-up song would be? Maybe a theme
Um, my walk-up song would probably be "Run the World" by Beyonce.
song.
Who runs the world? Girls.
And you know what? In my experience with you, it is very appropriate. So describe your perfect
Yes.
off the grid location.
Off the grid location is some white sandy beach in
Nice.
my beach chair with the little stick that you put up. Hey, I need a new drink. That is my off the grid location.
We being in Texas or being in the Austin area, we got to be careful about being off the grid because somebody will think we have an
Right.
electrical outage or something,
That's
just
right. Too soon, Mark. Too
I know, I
soon.
know. Uh, so what is the one thing about Renee that would surprise people the most?
I am a roller coaster enthusiast.
Really?
I love all roller coasters. I've traveled to Ohio at Cedar Park several times, the largest amusement park in the world, to ride all the roller coasters. I'm going to be that one that finds all the cameras. Like I won't know it the first time, but the second time, and I'm all in the camera every time.
Oh, excellent.
Love it.
I see an Instagram page of Renee's Roller World,
That's right.
Uh,
It is.
that's awesome. Renee, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to have a little a coffee talk with me. And
Absolutely.
we will definitely be circling back with you for more conversations. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank
All right.
you.
All right. Bye bye now.
Bye.